Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Riverside Church. My name is Pastor Greg Holder. I'm the pastor of this church and also the church pastor. And on behalf of Lucy, Paul, and Tina and their families, we welcome you to this, the final farewell of Lou. You all are here because you knew him, loved him, and I'm sure the family are so thankful that you've taken this time to join with them in this celebration of Lou's life. And I'd like to welcome all of those who are joining us on a live YouTube stream. I know we've got quite a few directly streaming from Italy and other places. And due to COVID and certain restrictions, we understand that a lot of people can't be here. But on behalf of the family, we are so thankful for your attendance, because again, it's a reflection of Lou's influence and also his love for Grafton and Grafton's love for he and the family. And so I'd like to open this service with prayer and commit this to God. So would you bow your heads and we will start the service. Father, we're so thankful that we're given the opportunity to honour and farewell this beloved man. Father, I know that each one of us carry a grief and an ache in our hearts, Lord God, because of the gentleness and kindness of Lou. But Lord Jesus Christ, I pray that each one of us would learn lessons from his life. Father, that we would take from this place the assurance that he is in your arms in a better place. That you would be with Lucy, be with Paul, Tina, the grandchildren, and the extended families. And be with us, Father, as we commit Lou completely into your care. And so, Father, we give you thanks for all those who have joined us online and here in this service, that God, this service belongs to you. Let us do honour to you and to Lou in Jesus' name. Amen. It's been a privilege to have known the Felice family for many, many years. We have worked with them through our care agency and through friendship. And of course, many of you remember Maria, and it was our great privilege to have known and spent time with Maria as well. And now Lou and Maria are together. And so right now, to bring us up to speed and to share the eulogy, I'd like to invite Lou's son Paul to come and share with us his heart's reflection on his dad. Thanks,
Paul. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for coming. To my family in Italy, tante pace, la mia famiglia in Italia. I was in the paddock this morning and I was asking Dad for strength, and I walked into the house and I handed me a certain book. I found my strength, I think. Lou was born on the 22nd of August 1945 in a small town named Cecchepaggiore, Italy, son of Paolo and Maria, brother of Antonietta, Pierina, Josephine, Carmela, Nikki, and Claudio. No matter how you say it, if you look it up, Felice, Felice, happy, an adjective of having or showing a feeling of contentment. Happy, willing, lucky, merry, cheerful. When you think of that collection of words, Lou Felice could not be more fitting to his name. 3 years into high school, which by the way, like most teenage boys, he hated. So he commenced a carpentry apprenticeship, which he also did not complete. Lou then immigrated to Australia in 1963. He was 19 years old, with just a suitcase and not a penny to his name. He joined his older sister, Antonietta, soon after to be followed by his younger sister, Josephine, and later Nikki, who decided not to stay. He was always torn by having left his family in his home country. Initially, he went to Queensland to cut sugarcane, which he was told it was too small to do, but became an excellent at it. Then with his friends in Melbourne, he went to pick tomatoes and later work in a hat factory. Lou loved to escape listening to Italian music, his favourite Claudio Villa, Mario Lanza, and the sounds of the piano accordion. Another one of his passions was boxing, and in his eyes, there was no one better than Rocky Marciano. His next stop was Sydney. He, Lou, still not speaking fluent English, volunteered to work experience in a fruit shop in exchange to learn English. Eventually, he gained a paying job here. Being a fruiterer is what Lou was destined to do. He then found the love of his life, Lucio, who had happened to work in the fruit shop also. They moved on to work together and eventually owned their own fruit shop. The story goes, the only reason that Lou married Lucy was because of her fruit shop experience, not her melons. They were so in love they ran away and eloped in 1967. They lived and had the fruit shop in Bondi Junction, and Maria, the first child, was born. The next shop was Asheville, where I was born 3 years later. Another 3 years passed and Tina came along. Lou left for work every day before dawn broke and came home after the sun had set, and still had time for the kids at the end of the day. With a little prop to Lucy, Lou would arrange extended family holidays with his boat in tow to far-off places like Bakers Bay, Broome Beach, or simply lazy summer picnic at either Cabaretta, Balmoral Beach, or Centennial Park. In the early 90s, he was offered a great opportunity to manage a shop in Hamilton, Brisbane, at Coco's Fresh Fruit Market. A funny story comes to mind when Sam Coco was purchasing eggs from the New South Wales to Queensland. According to New Queensland law, this was a no-no. Police one day turned up to confiscate the eggs. As they proceeded to remove the eggs, Lou was instructed to start breaking the eggs. As he did this, he accidentally dropped a whole tray of eggs on one of the police officers, cracking all down the officer's pants. He was then taken into a police car, and I remember trying to get Dad out of that car, saying, "You're not taking my dad." Lou was brought back to the station, labelled a bad egg. He was shortly after released. Due to many franchises, he was moved to the Gold Coast to open a brand new shop. The family resided in Sorrento, where he purchased a house of his dreams with a jetty and a boat. Unfortunately, he was working 7 days a week and hardly got time to enjoy it. Once again, Lou decided to go solo and open a shop in Deception Bay. And what a deception that turned out to be. This is where it all went pear-shaped, pardon the pun. Lou and Lucy lost everything they had worked so hard for. Lou always met people who trusted him and saw how hard-working he was. A recommendation from an ex-grocery supplier connected him with a lovely couple named Barry and Cheryl Evans, who were the owners of Farmer Charlie's in Lismore. Lou would travel from the Gold Coast to Lismore to work alongside them and stay there for weeks at a time. Not only did a great friendship start, but also a partnership. In 1997, Lou and Lucy made the decision to franchise Farmer Charlie's and bring a new shop to town with Barry and Cheryl. Now armed with a new opportunity, he was more determined than ever not to let his family down. With the guidance of Barry and Cheryl, they steered the business in a positive direction and the family was back on track. To make the shop successful, the family decided to unite, all work together under the one roof. Let me tell you, it wasn't always rainbows and butterflies. I remember the times when Dad would pull me into the cool room and tell me off. That's where you could yell as loud as you wanted, so no one could hear you. There was a lot of good times as well. We came to learn very quickly. The community at Grafton embraced us with open arms. Over all the shops that Lou owned, you can only imagine how many thousands of employees he gave jobs to. Lou sponsored many establishments, including the local hospital, clubs, schools, pubs, bushfires, droughts, and not to mention the Jacaranda Festival. With just a handshake agreement, Lou has provided free fruit every year for over 10 years for the Jack breakfast, probably 15. Breakfast lunches were mainly in the shop. I remember one day when Maria was still with us. Soup was on the stove. and Maria and I were distracted by Google on the computer. Lou comes running in saying, and one of his best assets was his accent. It was awesome. He came in saying, "Ma, I can hear burning." Classic. In 2005, we broke away from Farmer Charlie's with a lot of thought and deliberation. Barry and Cheryl had sold their share, and things were turning out too well. The group that purchased Farmer Charlie's. So we came up with a very unique name, Farmer Lou's. In 2007, Lou's first grandchild was born, James Lou's Beard. This brought Lou so much joy. 2 years later, Nicholas David Bruno Beard was born. He came along. The two boys renewed a spark in his eyes wherever he saw them, and when someone mentioned them, you would see the big smile come out. In 2008, Farmer Lou's in South Grafton was open. Soon to follow, 2009, Yandal was also open. Although we worked together all day, every day, Lou would still insist we see each other for barbecues every Saturday. He never wanted the family too far apart. Farmer Lou started entering the Business Excellence Awards in 2013. The shop received People's Choice Award continuously from 2013 to 2015. In 2016, the shop was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know Phil here personally want to thank the community. I remember Dad saying that after 4 years running, we should give, someone else should have the chance, and decided not to participate in the Excellence Awards. In 2019, Lou was given an unexpected award for a Community Service Award. These awards meant so much not only to Lou, but made him so proud to share the award with his family, Farmer Lou's family and his employees. Busy as he was, Lou always wanted to have a farm. He had goats, pigs, quails. Lou was very proud of his quail eggs, which he called koalas with his accent. In 2018, that sounded really funny, koala eggs. In 2018, came to birth my first child, Lou's third grandchild, Leonardo Felice. Followed a year later by his fourth grandchild, my other son, Matteo Gary Felice. 2019 started off a very sad year with the loss of his eldest daughter, Maria, my sister, at the age of 49. Losing his daughter, my sister, was never the same. He was never the same. We lost a part of him right there. All the challenges that were thrown his way, getting sick, being one of them, he managed to find a way through things and keep going. He always had big dreams, but could never get away from the bench. A beautiful legacy he left to myself and Tina, and maybe the grandchildren to carry on. But this is what he would have wanted to keep in the family. What can you say to someone who's always been one of the most essential parts of your world? Someone who took you by the hand when you were little and helped show you the way. What do you say to someone who stood by, helping grow, providing love, strength and support so you could become the person you are today? What can you say to let him know that he's the best thing and that you hope you've inherited some of his wisdom and strength? What words could I say if I ever got the chance? I'd just say, I love you, Dad, and I hope he understands that you are the greatest man in the world. Over the last 12 months, it's been a struggle, caring for Dad, but we took on the role, and it was very hard, very, very hard at times, especially over the last couple of months. and especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we decided to keep him at home and nurse him and care for him in a palliative way. From when we took our first breath, I speak for my sisters, to when he took his last breath, he just didn't want to stop giving. Didn't want to stop giving. Up until the end, And a good friend of us told, mentioned the other day, he said, our friend Nick, he said, he took his last breath here, but he's taken, in that moment, he's taken his next breath in his new life. And we know that he's watching, and he's watching over his legacy, and he's helping, and he'll help out in any way he can. I asked him to help me today, and I'm happy to do this for him, just like we did for his care got to the last minute. The last 5 days, I think 4 days before we lost him, he said, "Paul, I've had enough." He didn't lose his battle with cancer. It was a very tough one. Pancreatic cancer was. He got to 2 or more years out of a potential 3 to 6 month life expectancy. So he did pretty well, and he fought right up until the end. And that just goes to show what sort of guts and heart Dad had. And if I had just a little bit of that, I'd be a happy man. We love you, Dad, and we'll never stop missing you. You're a great man. You're the greatest man that ever lived. Thanks.
A lot of stories that go on from that. When Lou met Lucy, it was probably pretty much frowned upon by all concerned, and so Lou and Lucy decided to elope. That's good. They eloped for 24 hours, and then Lucy said, "Oh, I better go home." So Lou was telling me how he was feeling about this, and so they go back home. That's all wonderful. And then Lou presents his wife now back to her father, and he said, "I'm going now." And then her father goes, "You come back here. You're taking my daughter? You're not going nowhere." And so basically, what we see today is a heritage and a legacy of Lucy's old man not letting Lou go anywhere. And I think that's brilliant. That's predictive of who it was. Right now we're going to have a look. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, we're going to have a look at a slideshow with a reflection of a lot of photos of Lou and the family, and maybe we'll draw some memories back to you as well. So enjoy. to share a tribute to Lou as both father, grandfather, family member. So I'd like, but first of all, we've got two of our wonderful community servants here, in Steve Castello and Richard Williamson. And I'd like both gentlemen, if you come up to share with us a thought.
You know, Paul, you're a bloody hard act. That was, Lou was so proud of you. So proud of you. Lucy, Paul, Christina, partners Nathan, Chelsea, James, Nick, Leonardo, Mateo, Mike, Tues, and the whole community, congratulations. I can't imagine the grief you feel there. Lou loved Grafton. He loved the place. And Grafton loves him. And I'm sure he's sitting there now thinking, what's all the fuss about? His humility is so great that he could wonder why so many people, why so many lovely things are said. Because they're true. He was a great man, it's not easy to say, but he was a beautiful man. He was honest, caring, giving, and as I said, humble in every possible way. I remember when we came to Grafton as a family 24 years ago, opened up Farmer Charlie's over the road from my sign shop on Queen Street, and you were there, Richie, with 2GF broadcasting the day, and within 24 hours of opening, they had Coles, Woolworths, had scouts going through, walking around with taking prices and then putting 2-page spreads in the paper and advertising. That lasted for, I think, 2 months, and the white flags went up. And 24 years later, Farmer Lou, through Farmer Lou's on the Charlies, is still here. Lou came to see me some years ago now about having to close his Grafton store through financial issues and trying to make so as viable so to keep the South Grafton store open. His main concern was taking away the service from people that came in there, his customers, and his customers weren't just customers, they were friends, they were family. We'd sitting together a week and a half ago, or he was in his bed, sitting there and he's holding my hand, it seemed like an eternity. And probably, you'll do better than me, Paul. Probably the most spiritual thing I think, experience I've had. And he talked about Grafton, and there he said, I asked him how the Grafton was a good mood, has enjoyed his time here. And he said, Steve, they are like my family. And that's how people see Lou. You walk into the shop, he'll ask you to stop doing loading, stop doing the work. He'll say, how's it, how's this? He shows an interest in everybody, and I believe that's why the business has gone so well. And one thing is for sure, today's there, you've got plenty to do in your call. So you understand that. I know that the loss of Maria was a huge impact on the whole family and Bill as well. And this loss today is just a grief for everybody in the community. I won't talk too long. I know it's not about us, it's about Lou, it's about your family, it's about everyone here saying farewell, celebrating the life of a man that is really bigger than life. I'd like to have half the kudos to get up there that Lou's got, because Lou is everything that you expect someone to be that's going to go straight there, fast track. So Lou Felice, rest in peace. Lou, Paul, Tina, please, I'm always around, and I'm sure that many people in this community get support you.
Well said, Steve. And I have two hard acts now to follow. I'll start with the shot of Zen Booker because 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 9:30 in the morning, called in and said, Lou, he said to Lucy, we need to have a drink. Lucy arrived with 3 glasses of water, which didn't cut it for Lou. Tuesday booked us in a scotch. Later, at 9:30, we got down and had a good yarn for what seemed an eternity, and I'm so thankful that I was able to do that. I first met Lou, or probably Lucy, and then followed by Lou, when they opened the Grafton store in '97, the radio station which I was a part of, broadcast live there. And I have to say, I think that was the start of a pretty good relationship between myself personally and also the radio station. It seemed like an endless, I don't know what Louis actually did. You could go in there and talk to Louis for half an hour and he did nothing. The very next person spoke with him for half an hour and he still did nothing. That was the kind of person he was. He was approachable, he had a warmth about him and a love about him that we all thrived on and will certainly miss. Not only was the endless stream of customers, but there was also the endless stream of community fundraisers, sporting clubs, groups that just needed one voucher or one tray. I'm pretty sure he never said no. That highlights the type of person and businessman Louis and Lucy and the family were. But for me, it was the unpublicised acts of kindness that highlighted the type of person Louis was. Nobody went hungry. Nobody went hungry. I remember the time when we've spoken about the Jacaranda breakfast that Farmer Lou's rolled up for the first time. And it was the greatest spread ever seen at a fruit breakfast in Australia. There was everything laid out, all for nothing, for the community. Of course, there are many other acts of generosity and kindness that the family did, and we've spoken about some of the awards, but most recently, Louis and Farmer Lou's received the New South Wales Premier's Award, something that I know was most appreciated for a humble hero. That was Louis. Louis was the hardest worker I know, bar none, ever. 7 days a week, he was there. No idea what time he started, but I know he was also the last person to leave. I reckon for 20 years, his holidays were Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and maybe half of Anzac Day. That was it. Rain, hail or shine, the shop was open and ready for business. Christmas parties. The Farmer Lou's famous Christmas party. Lucy. Oh dear. Pretty sure Lucy never turned up to work the day after them. But Louis did. I remember a few scotches, that is for sure. Heaven knows how long, how many hours he may have put in at the shop. It seemed endless. But come 9:30 every morning was breakfast time. Louis' famous breakfast. So it was toast, it was avocado on toast, and the strongest coffee any human could drink. The teaspoon, I kid you not, the teaspoon would stand upright in this brew. And we all ain't had a go at it. No milk, down she goes. Christmas at the shop was always, I think, pretty special, and I think Louis loved Christmas, and he loved Christmas at the shop, mainly because I think he gave something back to his customers. For many years, I dressed up as Santa out the front of the shop. I think the radio station did a few outside broadcasts at Christmas time as well. And of course, we started out giving about 50 bags of lollies out to his customers. Well, Maria and Lou loved it so much, it got up to about 350 bags of lollies in the stinking heat, dressed in a senior suit. So what should happen after this? Straight into the cool room we go. A couple of stubbies, me and Lou, and then we pinched a few grapes and his famous Christmas cherries. Louis, of course, spent many hours at the front of the store, but if you couldn't find him at the front of the store, and there's a photo in the service there today, you would have found him at the back of the store in what seemed like a mountain of foam boxes, sweet potatoes, spuds, onions, and of course watermelon. The man could cut a watermelon like nothing else. I'm surprised he still had all the fingers. He had a certain skill with the knife, our Louis. Of course, we have all great memories, and truly, if everyone here today had 5 minutes to speak on a memory of Lou, we would be here until this time next week. I think Grafton has lost a hero, but we've gained many memories which we'll share all here today. So to the family, we are with you. We'll always be with you. We know the school's always there, and today we'll share in your group. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to tell you just how shattered I am, Richie. Just devastated. You mean that really wasn't Santa? I hope this is not going around the world, because before we get some more attending members up, I'd like to invite Jeff and Jen Mackay to come. Has anybody seen the movie The Mule? There's a brilliant song in that, and Jeff's rewritten the lyrics in a way of honouring Lou. So we really look at this couple. They're much loved family members, and want to pay tribute to Lou this way.
I just want to say we rearranged these words, and we'd like to do a tribute to Lou, and we want to do it on behalf of all the farmers that Lou supported. Thank you.
Lord, let this good man don't want to be here no more. Don't leave it up to him. He's knocking on your door. He knew all of his time. That one day it would. Don't let it stay outside. Just let this good man. Many moons he has worked. His body's weathered and worn. Ask yourself how good he's been. Probably since the baby was born. Always loved for his wife and for his family. Toasting sundown with wine. Lord, let this story. bodies weathered and worn. Ask yourself how good he feels. Probably since the day he was born. Rise up from this earth, from where it all began. Let's help him up to your door. Lord, let this come. Let's help him up to your door. Lord, let this come.
Thank you for Jan. As you can see, these precious couple have been the local blueberry suppliers to farmers for many years, and I'm sure there are many other local produce producers that can testify to the fact of Lou's generosity and openness to try and build community and relationship. So it was very, very fitting and a beautiful tribute. Right now, we're going to hear from the family members, so if you all come up and we can just get a little bit of a heartbeat right through from nieces and grandsons and daughters. So.
Lucio Felice, or what I grew up calling him, Zio Lucio. My heart goes out to my dear Lucy, who has lost her loving husband, my cousins Paul, and my strong little cousin Tina, who has lost their loving father. The people here in Grafton got to know Lou, the vintage version. I will always remember how much Zio wanted his familia together. So both Zio, Lucy, and Zio's family always merged together. Today I also speak on behalf of Alan Rita, who has lost her one and only brother-in-law. His nieces and nephews in Sydney, Paul, Linda and Tracy. My mum Josephine, who has lost not only her brother, but also her best friend. My stepdad Paul, who has lost his favourite brother-in-law, and I've lost my dear Lucio. Us nieces and nephews in our earlier years all grew up without a father figure, and Zio soon became that man for all of us. He wasn't just our uncle, he was more like a father to us all. I want to share two of my fondest memories, the first being in 1982. We were invited to Zio Lucio's brother Claudio's wedding. Zio was 37 at the time and decided to take Paul, Tina and myself to Italy. What 37-year-old man in their right mind decides to take 3 children under the age of 11 to Italy? My Zio, that too. And yes, we did drive him crazy. The second is the picnics. He would load all the kids in the cage part of the truck. Highly illegal these days, and probably back then as well, but we all loved it. He would bring all his nephews and nieces randomly just to say hello. I remember our conversations would take place around the shop closing time, and I would say, "Hey Zio, how are you?" He would always answer, "I'm good." Then I would ask him, "But Zio, are you still at the shop? It's late." He would say, "It's okay, I'm nearly finished, I go home soon." If you were family or really good friends, or maybe here in Grafton, I'm sure you did it even more than Sydney, you would never leave the shop without a box of fruit. And he wouldn't let you go without that box of fruit. I just want to say a few words now in Italian on behalf of his family back home. Lascia indietro la sua sorella Nikki e cognato Luigi, sorella Carmela e il cognato Franco, e suo fratello minore Claudio e cognata Pasqualina. Lascia i suoi nipoti Sara, Serena, Michele, Paolo e Flavio. Io so quanto Dio voleva rivederti tutti, ma questo sogno non è potuto succedere. Io capisco quanto voi tutti volevate anche essere qui prima che Dio si è ammalato, ma anche Dio lo sa. I know he's now reunited with his mama and papa, his father-in-law Ernesto, his sister Pierina and Antonietta, his daughter Maria, nephew Alan, and his compadre Charlie. Rest in peace, and we love you too.
Hello, I'm Lou's eldest grandson, James. I remember at a very young age, at the old shop in Grafton, Nonna put me on the forklift and drove around the back. I'm proud that I was the first, even if it wasn't my birthday. He managed to slip in $20 every now and then. He always called me the #1 grandson, even if Nick wasn't around. I'm also proud to share part of Nonna's name in my middle name, Lucas. For a long time, Nonna always dreamt of going to Italy with Nick and I. We will go one day, and although he won't be with us physically, he'll be with us spiritually. I'll miss him, and I will always have him in my heart, looking over me and guiding me through life's challenges. Grazie a tutti. Thank you all.
Nonna, known as Lou to everybody, was a nice, gentle man who put everyone first before himself. Even though I was the second grandson, he would treat us all the same. One of my favourite things to do with him was to go to the fruit shop and help out at 4 a.m. Nonna, James and I would always enjoy going to the barber and get our haircuts after school. Even though he is gone with Maria, I will always remember and love Nonna from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Lou, meaning light, that is what you were. You lit up my life and showed me the best way you knew how. Ernestina is what you called me, and no other name will do. You were my protector, my guiding light. Your words were few, but your presence was enough. Gentle, kind, and a true family man. You gave me the fruits of the world, leaving me your legacy to carry on. I thank you for giving me everything and more. Proud to call you my dad. Mum, you are an impeccable woman. You went above and beyond to take care of Dad. It was 3 weeks ago and Dad said to me, I haven't got your mum anything. Dad was so sick that I couldn't believe that he even thought of this. He wanted to buy Mum a present. I suggested flowers. He said, okay. I told him I'd organise the flowers. He said, no, not flowers. Too late, Dad, they're coming today. He started to make suggestions of something else and was pointing to his wrist. I said, a bracelet? He said, yes, ask your mum. I did just that, and without Mum realising what I was up to, I went out and bought the Pandora bracelet she wanted. To my brother Paul, my dear Josie, Uncle Paul, for caring for Dad in his hardest part of life. Thank you. Thank you to all the doctors, surgeons, nurses, the palliative care team, aged care, paramedics and oncology who helped my dad along the way. To our amazing friends and family, thank you. To the fantastic staff at Farmer Lou's, thank you. Barry and Cheryl Edmonds, thank you. Grant, thank you. We did it, team. We were able to send Lou off knowing that his shop would be okay, and that meant so much to him. The Clarence Valley community, businesses, customers, thank you for the ongoing support and your kind words. I quote the repeated words from the tributes that came pouring in. We lost a true gentleman and highly respected businessman who we will truly miss. I love you, Dad, who would always reply, me too.
the family and the hearse will go out and turn left. Just the hearse, the family and the wall chariot, the big blue thing out there. They're going to go down through the street and into Skinner Street and then out to the cemetery. And we're inviting you all to join us out there. And if you could find the best way out to the cemetery and just mind the school zones and what have you. But please, that's our hardest to have you out there as we intern Lou with Maria down in the Northern Cemetery up to this. So that's what's going to be happening there. But right now, there is a couple of floral tributes that the family have got here that we'd like now for the family to come and just lay at the foot of the casket, and they'll also be going out to the cemetery as well. So the family like to come and put the tributes in the on the casket. This song was very significant because that was Lou's favourite song. And for his family to lay those tributes there, it's just a final farewell. There's a poem in your order of service. It's put there. I'd like us to read it together. It goes, life is but a stopping place, a pause in what's to be, a resting place along the road to sweet eternity. We all have different journeys, different paths along the way. We all are meant to learn some things, but never meant to stay. destination is a place far greater than we know. For some, the journey's quicker. For some, the journey's slow. And when the journey finally ends, we'll claim a great reward and find everlasting peace together with the Lord. Lou was a wonderful friend to me. I would walk in, and our friendship, we'd known each other for years, but when Maria came to this church, and finally she'd given her life to Christ, and she was in a far better place, and Lou and Lucy would bring her to church. And then Lou fell in love with the church, and we had this relationship. And every time Lou would see you, it would be this warmth that just so many people have talked about. Pastor Gregory! I suddenly felt so Italian. Person like, buongiorno, arrivederci, hasta la vista, baby, whatever. But he made me feel like part of the family. And to Lou, there was a saying. It was, La familia numero uno. The family is number one. And so I've got this little slide that I'd like to put up as I just share. Would that be true of Lou? I know it to be true of Lou. This community was an extended part of his familia, of his family, and he saw you all as family. And you've all heard today of Lou's gentle kindness and the way that he just embraced the community, and nobody went without while he was about. And many people attend funerals and many words are spoken, but here today you actually saw this exhibited in Lou's life. See what Lou did, friends? I believe you saw a person who was thankful, was grateful for everything that he had. As a 19-year-old who comes out to Australia as an immigrant with not a cent to his name. And yet through hard work and perseverance and patience and endurance, the man reaps the reward for his life. If it were not so, you wouldn't be here today, but you are. And how wonderful is that? Lou knew what it was like to have trials. Lou knew what it was like to have disappointments. He knew the pain of illness, the grief of loss. He knew financial hardship, as Steve alluded to. He knew long hours of unseen and unthanked work that was going on in his life. And even in the latter days of his failing health, his countenance and demeanour never changed. Now I remember particularly one day, we would have these deep and meaningfuls over the last probably 6 or 8 months, and then Nick had been visiting there and playing in the lounge room, and then he was being a real pest. I know it's hard to imagine that of Nick, but you know, Lou would ask him to do something, and Nick was ignoring him and whatever, and then he said, I tell you, Pastor Gregory, I don't speak to you again, you naughty boy. And then Nick, who was a master psychologist, goes, but no, we're family. And then, as Lou puts his words back to front, he goes, Pastor Gregory, what are you going to do? And then this big smile comes on his face. See, Lou couldn't stay cranky at you even if he wanted to. But maybe you've got to have the smarts and think to get away with that. But you know, as a man, Lou was grateful for everything. He was grateful for his family. He was grateful to be placed in a community that embraced him and loved him and gave him an opportunity to be the man that God created him to be. And many people have been through what Lou had been through, and for those of you who know Lou's story, bitterness would be an easy thing to have. Disappointment and discouragement would be there, and people would become resentful. But I can tell you this, today this community is poorer for the loss of this man. My life personally is poorer. Over the last months, I just called him Papa. And I would do the Italian thing and kiss him on the cheeks every time I saw him. Made me feel so Italian. But he made me feel Italian. So I've been looking for it in my heritage, but I can't find it anywhere. I think it's more like convict, but anyway. But I know in our friendship, I had many deep and meaningful conversations with Lou about not this life, but the life to come. I spoke with him that the things of this world, that though some things are beautiful, they have nothing in store except for the beauty that God has for him. And he made his peace with Jesus Christ. And I can say to you without a shadow of a doubt that Lou is in eternity in the arms of his Heavenly Father right now, because he made that confession and it became a part of his life. And I thank Lucy, Paul and Tina and the family for embracing me into their world and allowing me to do life, the privilege of doing life in these last years with Lou. And some lessons from Lou's life can be applied to each one of our lives, perhaps in the simplest but most profound message of all, to take from us this day, from this place. Instead of being angry at what the world dishes out and the hardness of heart that people get because of the betrayals and disappointments and hurts, and maybe start to live a life with an attitude of gratitude. What if we were just grateful for everything? And you say, well, how do I start to be grateful? You don't know what I've been through. No, but you don't know what the person next to you has been through either. So maybe you can start to be grateful in this community for the person sitting right next to you. Because I promise you this, tomorrow is promised to no one. So why not have an attitude of gratitude and start to live a thankful life? I know Lou did. And Lou showed it by the way he greeted people. I used to think he really liked me until my wife would walk in the room. Pastor Gregory, oh, look who's here. Flippin' heck, I can't stand over in the corner. But he made you feel special. And then I'd be sitting with him and someone else would come and, oh, Pastor Gregory, look who's here. Everybody was made to feel loved and welcomed. Listen, if Grafton is the community that you and I believe it should be, should we not be the most open, welcoming, hospitable people on the east coast of Australia? We're given lessons like this from this man. And so I want you to go out of here today and embrace one another and love one another and start to live life with an attitude of gratitude. Lou did it for us. Certainly we should be able to do it for one another. That would be the lesson I can take from here to give to you. I am thankful to the Felice family for their input into the community of Grafton. And for that, I am thankful for everything. The Lord bless you. Thank you for being with us this afternoon as we farewell Lou. As I alluded to earlier, we're going to see the slideshow played again. And then we're going to adjourn from here to the Grafton Lawn Cemetery. The hearse and actually, you know, we've even got a police escort. That's how much Lou's loved. And we're going to go down and through the main street. But for the rest of you, please join us out at the Lawn Cemetery if you're able. Go there, and we'll all come together as we intern Lou. But right now, as the funeral directors come and the pallbearers come, and this beautiful entourage of flowers, we will go and take Lou to his final resting place. So would you all go standing, please?